And welcome to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. My name is Jesse, and I'll be your host. Now, today we're doing something just a little different. This is actually a little bonus episode you're hearing on today's episode, on today's feed. Today, I wanted to bring on a filmmaker, actually, who has a movie that is currently streaming on Tubi and other places you find movies, right? And so you may have heard her, though, because it is, this month I'm doing revenge movies, double R movies, as you can call them, a little bit. So, but when I put that idea out there, I had this person actually reach out and be like, oh my God, I have a movie I want to talk to you about. And it's something I actually am a part of. So I'm like, oh, hell yeah, let's get you on. You may have heard her on some other podcasts, such as Tainted Love Podcast, The Men Who Like Movies, Horror Queers. She's been all over the place with podcasts. And I mean, hey, look at you, girl. She is also an actor, a producer, a writer, and she's going to be talking to us a little bit about her film, Perfectly Good Moment. Please welcome to the podcast, the one, the only Amanda Jane Stern. Hi, Amanda. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
It's so nice to meet you, and I'm happy to have you for sure.
I think we have
Yeah,
so many mutuals in this tiny little
as
podcasting world.
yeah, no, totally, totally. Yeah, you have Clayton and Sean, got
Mhm.
Devon and all them, and we've just, that's one of the things about podcasting, right? You're doing this for fun normally, or sometimes money every so often too. You want to try and get a little bit of dollars, right?
We'd
Like,
love to, wouldn't we?
we would, right? But it's one of those things where you just tend to meet different people, or you listen to people, and you're just like, hey, I also want to come on your show and talk about movies too, baby. Whatever. Yeah, so when I put out the idea of like, hey, I want to do maybe some revenge movies, like, rape revenge, if you will, or double R, however people want to call them, right? You know, I know you slid in and was like, hey, like I have a movie that I made, and like I was like, oh, that's cool. I've never heard of it, really. I mean, but hey, I'll check your movie out and why not? And I'll take a look. So I guess for me at least. I mean, of course, we could talk about like your IMDb, of course, where it's like, hey, you've been acting since you were a child, been in some movies here and there, I guess independent films, right? A lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And you're based in New York because this movie seems to take place there, right?
Yes, I'm based in Brooklyn. We filmed this
Gotcha.
all in the apartment is Soho, and
Hmm.
then the bar that they meet at we filmed in Williamsburg. So
Gotcha.
those
Okay.
those were our two filming locations.
Love it. I love that. Yeah. Well, East Coaster people. So, of course, I'm going to be
Yep.
like, hell yeah. But yeah. So, and of course, so you've been doing that for a while. But I guess for me, and I'm kind of wondering, like, what inspired you to, write and kind of help develop this movie? Because you did write it and
Mhm.
you're involved in the process. But I guess what inspired you to even write this and the idea of it, I guess.
Um, so this is actually kind of crazy, and I don't know if I've shared this story yet, but it kind of took me a little while to really realize where these characters came from. But when I was 14, I wrote a script called, oh dear God, no one should ever read this thing, but it was called Evoking Nabokov's Masterpiece.
Love
Horrible
it.
name, horribly formatted. I was 14. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
A little bit of grace,
Um,
right? For
Oh
sure.
boy. Yeah, I've reread it since and jeez.
My God.
But obviously by Nabokov's masterpiece, I clearly mean Lolita. Because I read that when I was 13. And sometimes you read things when you were way too young for them, and that's one of my many things. So I
Yeah,
write
totally.
I write this script that involves an affair between a teenager and an adult. And I was a teenager, so of course I was thinking, I'm so mature, whatever, I'm just precocious and old for my age, and it's fine. And now I'm in my 30s and I look back and I'm like, fuck, no, holy shit. um so I write this and then I don't do anything with it, thank goodness. Um it just kind of sits there. And as the years go by, I write some other scripts and realize that the characters I'm writing are kind of these two characters, but they've gone through different iterations until finally they became David and Ruby, me writing it as I think I wrote a Perfectly Good Moment when I was 27. So I aged them both up. Um, and it was kind of me now looking back at this thing that I wrote at 14 with a lot more context and a lot more lived experience and maturity. Um, and it took me a while to realize that that's where these characters initially came from, what script I wrote. And so is that first script terrible? Yes. But did it lead to this? Yeah.
Totally. And I think it makes sense because, when you're a kid and you are interested in this stuff, whether you're acting or writing or whatever, right? Like you have all these ideas, you have big feelings, right?
Hmm.
It's because of that, like you're wanting to just put it out on paper. You just want to put it out there, right? And so the fact that you have had other experiences and you are able to, age these people up, make it so that they
Yes.
are not in a long-term relationship, they're in a off and on again relationship. So they've known each other for a long time. And no spoilers, I guess, everybody. I guess go check this movie out yourself, okay? But if anything, it's like, yeah, that is a different thing. And plus, also, I can't say it's a good thing necessarily, but the fact that we have way more of an idea of like, what sexual harassment looks like, what does
Hmm.
interpersonal dynamics in a relationship look like, which is what your movie deals with a lot too.
Hmm.
it it's just from your experience, it's just that is you've had this being a female in the world and having a different lived experience than half the country, right? And so you're able to bring that to this movie and make it something a little different than when you were 14 or whatever, right? Like, and that's totally fair.
Yes. No, thank goodness. Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
thank goodness, right? Yeah. So, as opposed to just Lolita, because of course that is part of what inspired your movie a little
Hmm.
bit, what are some other influences, whether it be movies, books, whatever, that also inspired this film in particular?
So the biggest influences were actually me going, what if Last Tango in Paris turned into Hard Candy?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That those were the biggest. And then of course there's also the remake of The Invisible Man.
Hmm.
There's this movie with Aubrey Plaza called Black Bear
Okay.
that sort of does similar things in terms of its narrative structure and kind of keeping you on your toes.
Right.
And actually, our colorist for Perfectly Good Moment was on the team that worked on both Invisible Man and Black Bear.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Very good.
So yeah, Last Tango, Hard Candy. And then there are a couple of books in addition to
Hmm.
Lolita. There's a book called Chocolates for Breakfast
Okay.
and Rambling Rose, and those also deal with a much younger woman, older guys,
Hmm.
and sort of the interpersonal dynamics, but they're very much so told from her perspective.
Right. Right.
And they're also books that I read when I was younger and stuck with me for many, many years. And so I was kind of returning to what they made me feel and how I, um, you know, connected to them when I was younger. And so
Hmm.
those were the ones. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally. And uh please go listen to the episode we're going to do on Hard Candy, everybody, if you're listening to
Yep.
this interview, because that movie rocks. But also it's like, yeah, that makes total sense. And it's also interesting too, again, not a giant spoiler, but yes, this is a movie that is kind of a bit of a thriller-ish slash there's definitely this sort of cat and mouse thing with your character and what's the dude's name again? I'm so sorry.
David.
David, yes. And so, but also there's a little bit of sci-fi in there, kind of
Hmm.
sort of like
Yep.
interesting. So, and for me at least, I gave this maybe like a 3 out of 5, right? So I thought, especially for probably the lower budget you may have had,
I
the two
think you were three and a
locations.
half. You
Three and a
were.
half. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Something like that. But it wasn't like, oh, 5 out of 5. But I was like, you know what? For a movie that probably didn't have a huge budget, it had two locations, as I'm learning, and it was all kind of done, in an independent space. I'm always going to be like, you know what? I generally enjoyed myself, right? And also, I wasn't expecting. I was just like, oh, okay. Like, what is this exactly? Because then you're mirroring stuff in the movie a little bit,
Hmm.
and that was kind of interesting to me too. And I'm always going to be like, especially when it's more independent filmmaking, more low budget filmmaking, I'm always going to be like, you know what? Did I enjoy myself watching Venice? If I did, I'm giving more leeway to a movie than something where I'm like, wow, not much effort was put into this, was it? And that's going to make something not as enjoyable, or at least if the characters are interesting too, that's going to really help as well. But it's hard making movies out here, baby. We all know that, man. Like
Yes,
it's
yes, it
so hard,
is.
and so but again, even if you don't have a huge budget, even if you don't have a whole lot to work with or locations or any of that sort of stuff, being able to work within those resources is or whatever resources you do have are super important. So, yeah, but I would say I liked it for sure. It's an interesting take, and it's interesting because it's a revenge story, but not in a traditional sense. I will
Yes.
say that, which is interesting. And it's perfect that you're like, yeah, I would actually want to talk about this too. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Like that makes total sense. So going on a little bit with that too. So this movie, like you were saying before we started recording, it did the festivals in 2023, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's been, streaming since around 2024 around there. It's on Tubi, like I said. But yeah, what was the process? What did it look like to really try to get this movie like off the ground, right? So like producing it, like because you're a producer on it, getting a budget together of some sort, getting this cast. I mean, you're obviously one of the people in the cast, but what was that like and just shooting it and yeah, just like what did it look like getting this thing off the ground, getting this baby off the ground?
So, my co-star, Stephen Carlisle, I actually had met him before I wrote this. I'd met him once. He used to play Scar in The Lion King on Broadway, and I saw the show one night, and we hung out afterwards. And that was kind of it. But we swapped contact info, followed each other on the socials, blah blah blah. And fast forward to February of 2021. I'm sitting at home, staring at my bookshelf, thinking, I miss being on set. And all of a sudden, kind of the one of the opening scenes sort of came to me. And I thought, okay, what's this? I'll follow this. So I had these two characters and I had this idea. I knew I wanted there to be a twist, and I had a few ideas of what it could be, but I wasn't sure. So I brought this idea to Julian Seltzer, who co-wrote the story with me and was our lead producer. And he sat down and together we worked out the entire story. And from there, I wrote it as a script, texted Stephen, and I said, hey, buddy, been a while. Want to make a movie? Call me. Um, and so he calls me and I walk him through this idea and I sent it to him and he goes, "Yeah, I'm in." And then I go, "Oh shit." He said, "Yes, okay. Well, now we need to find money, a director."
Hmm.
So the first thing we did was, "Okay, let's find a director."
Right.
And we started reaching out to other filmmakers we were friends with. Do you have a recommendation? We know this needs to be a woman who directs this.
Sure, sure.
And it was actually through our colorist, Emily Bailey, who is a childhood friend of Julian's,
Hmm.
that she introduced us to Lauren Greenhall, who directed the movie.
Right.
And we get on a phone call with Lauren, and she says, I don't know you. I don't know your story. But when I was in my early 20s, I dated a man who was 40, and there are lines in the script that my ex said to me verbatim.
Mm,
And that was it. That
right.
was, we knew she was the director because she was coming from such a similar viewpoint
Yeah.
at looking at it as both erotic and also terrible. And how do
Hmm.
you combine those two, that something can be sexy and turn you on and also
Right.
not be a good thing.
Yeah.
So I text Steven back and I go, hey, we have a director, let's talk
Yes.
shoot dates. And he
Right.
reads it again, he goes, whoa, this is actually happening. And then he messages me and he goes, by the way, I've only ever had one stage kiss before.
Mm,
And I
right.
said, that's fine. We are hiring an intimacy coordinator and we will
Hmm.
work out whatever works for all of us.
Yeah.
And our intimacy coordinator, Acacia, was one of the first crew members that we brought on after hiring Lauren, and I connected with them randomly on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook in some movie group. Someone
Right.
posted a crew call, and I think they responded saying they were an intimacy coordinator and if the movie needed one, and they linked their website, and I checked it out, and I just thought I like this person.
Mhm.
Um so I reached out to them. We talked for a while. They were really into the script. Um, I connected them with Lauren, and Lauren and Acacia also really connected. So we hired them. And then from there, it was just kind of because we'd all been working in film for years. It was
Mhm.
a lot of who are the people we like working with. So Lauren brought along one of her go-to cinematographers, this guy Matt Bronsdorf.
Mhm.
He comes with his entire, camera team,
Mhm.
and he and Julian had worked together years ago at a production company, so they were already friendly. So, which is great. So it was one of those things where, most crew members were either people who had worked together before, or
Mhm.
they were recommendations from friends of ours.
Right. Which is, I think, how a lot of filmmaking can be, especially when even anywhere. I mean, like whether it's independent movies, whether it's big studio movies, a lot of the time it's about who you know, right? I mean,
Hmm.
and you want to bring in people who you're going to like and who you don't have to necessarily, even if you get to know them and they're new, like you always want to try and bring in people to, you already know their work, you already know that. So that makes a lot of sense for
It's
sure.
also, this is such a small thing, and it's so
Yeah,
intimate that we wanted people that everyone would feel comfortable with on set.
sure. Absolutely. That's important too,
Yeah.
especially for something like that where like you're knowing you're not going to be dealing with like you know you're not going to be dealing with the things that come along with a bigger set, right? Or with more of a studio or whatever. You do have a little bit more autonomy in an independent setting where you can have like, yeah, exactly, you're able to have a little bit more of an idea of like who you want on set, the vibe you want to curate and stuff like that, which is
Hmm.
really good, which is why it's important to also find a director who's like chill and cool and not aggro, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
Because you don't always get that choice, so yeah, for sure. I guess for me too, because I'm only so familiar with like how intimacy coordination works and all this, but I know it's a bit of a newer job, sort of kind of in the
Yep.
industry. Um, just like how stunt coordinators are a thing, and that's been a thing forever, as probably horror fans, we know that those have been
Yep.
around for fucking ever. VFX people have been around forever. But yeah, what was your experience working with this intimacy coordinator that you guys hired? And did you find any challenges with working with this coordinator? Not that they were not a great person, but like, were there certain challenges that maybe arose that you maybe weren't expecting with that? Or especially since you were in the movie doing this stuff, like this intimate stuff with your co-star, it's like, I guess I just wonder, like, what was it like working with the coordinator? And also, what were there any challenges that you kind of found that like maybe you weren't expecting, perhaps? I was just kind of wondering about that.
I would say it's actually less than challenges. I think it made it easier. I love Acacia. I loved working with them. It made it so comfortable. So, in between takes, no matter what is going on screen, in between takes, Steven and I don't stay in character if we're not filming. Once Lauren yells cut, we were just ourselves. Um, but because we had done so much work, we'd rehearsed for so long, we'd gone over boundaries and everything. And because you go over boundaries so much, you find that when you actually get down to doing these scenes, you are more comfortable with each other. Things actually get pushed further than had you not gone through that process, because you have worked up such a rapport together that you're in a safe space. Um, and I mean, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of building trust, and obviously it's a lot of work on the intimacy coordinator to make sure that they're doing what they can to keep everybody safe and to keep no boundaries being crossed, and all of the silly intimacy barriers that you have to wear and retape down, because when you're filming in July in New York City during an 100-degree heat wave, no matter how sticky those barriers are, that tape is going to come off in between every single scene, and you have to go back and get it retaped down. That is absurd. And like it's great. Those barriers are amazing. I'm so glad that they make them. It makes, it's really weird wearing some of those things because you're looking at them and they're so goofy looking. You don't see them on camera, of course. But oh God, yeah, just having to have them retaped down is maybe the hardest thing. But no, working with Acacia, it made everything, it also made it feel like play. And I think I also think that acting with props can be tricky, remembering, when to pick up a cup, when to do this or that. But when the acting is tied to a physical motion that's more choreography, so sexual content, a dance, things like that, I actually think that really helps.
Yeah, totally. I think that makes sense too. And I think the sort of criticism that people can lob at a industry coordinator is just like, well, you don't want to bring the vibe down or you don't want to do whatever. We've had that whole thing with Honora. People were talking about that a couple of years ago where they were like, oh, I don't want an industry coordinator. Mickey Madison was like,
Yeah.
nah, I don't want it. And I'm like, that's her right as a actress, I guess. But at the same time, I think they're generally a good thing as long as they're used the proper way that they're supposed to be
Well, I
used,
actually
really.
have a response to people who say things like that.
Yeah,
Here's the thing.
right.
Intimacy coordinators are not sex police. They're
Not at all.
not in this job because they hate sexual content. They're
Sure.
in it because they love sexual content. They
Right.
want to see it done well. They are
Yeah.
coming with, a lot of them are coming from stunt backgrounds. They're coming
Yep.
from some sort of choreography background.
Movement, any of that sort
Mhm.
of stuff.
Acacia was coming from a burlesque background and a
Right.
sex work background.
Right.
And so they are coming with an appreciation
Hmm.
for it as an art form and how to take it and make it look better on screen than it would if everybody feels uncomfortable. You
Right.
shouldn't be winging these things.
Right.
It could be both mentally and physically dangerous to
Hmm.
improvise physical movement. As I said, Stephen
Yeah.
is 6'3". I am 5'2".
Exactly. Oh my God, that was something I noticed too. It was like, oh my God, you are much shorter than him, and it
Yes.
just makes it feel that much like more in a way ominous, I guess.
Yeah,
Like it
no,
was
and
just
that
like,
was
oh God,
intentional.
it was supposed
I
to
mean,
be
granted,
right.
everyone's taller than I am anyway,
You're
but
just like, damn it. Okay, listen, this is just who I am. Like, right?
But no, they're not.
Yes.
They don't make it,
Yeah.
you know, more in. They make it easier to film these scenes, and then they make
Yeah.
the scenes look better.
Yeah, I would hope so. And again, it's only because I have seen that sort of criticism
I
sometimes when
have
it
too.
comes
It's
to,
stupid. It's
and I'm
incredibly
just like,
stupid.
right, and I'm just like, honestly, you could say the same thing about any sort of crew member or a cast member on a
It's
set, truly.
cool girl mentality is what it is.
Yeah. Of like, I can
It's
do this
I'm not
without this.
exactly.
Like, and you're like, no, I mean, listen, I'm not gonna listen. Make Madison has a whole Oscar. That's great. If she didn't need an intimacy coordinator, good for her. That's
But
wonderful.
there were extras on that set who
That
were
maybe wanted one,
unclad, and I have read some accounts from some of those extras who were
right?
deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah, because it's sex work.
Yeah.
She's a stripper or whatever. Like,
Hmm.
right? Like she's literally doing shit. So it's
Right. So
like,
just because she was
you know,
uncomfortable, that's one actor.
exactly. But having it all together is how you create a set, right? And
Hmm.
obviously Sean Baker makes some cool movies, but at the same time it was like, especially that's the most recent one I could kind of
Yes.
remember. And again, sometimes it's a matter of like, you know, I don't know. And again, it's good that we have these sorts of things. Just like how, not that I know you were a child actor, I guess, and there's the whole push of like this idea of having more protections for children on set, and it's like, yeah, I wish we
Hmm.
had all of
Yeah.
those, but guess what? We only have so many of them, but we need more of them, like
Yep.
and especially in such an intimate thing like that too, right? And I just think again, if it's used properly, if a person like that's used properly, then you'll get good result, I think. If it's awkward and it's made to be felt to be awkward, then that's your result you're kind of gonna
Hmm.
get, I think. So anyway,
Right. It's
yeah.
about the crew meshing. And also, the intimacy
Yes,
coordinator is there for the crew as well.
sure.
Just because they're not the ones filming, actually acting out these scenes, doesn't mean it's not going to trigger something.
Right. And it's not going to make someone else feel weird about it too.
Right. Like, leave a
Right.
sexual assault scene,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of people there on that crew.
Yeah.
And that's just because the actors aren't really doing that doesn't mean
Right.
it's not triggering to watch it happen.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, and again also because this movie is coming after something like Me Too and
Hmm.
Time's Up and all that stuff, I mean at the end of the day, like, the production, the big wigs, I guess, or the producers and all them, they're the ones who have to make sure that you're not being a fucking creep on set, hopefully, right? Like that they're supposed to intervene in that sort of way and
Supposed to, yes.
supposed to. Does that happen? Not all the time. And people get away with shit, which is why I think a lot more people are just more keenly aware, right? And it's just again it- when it's art, right? It's like, okay, just because it's art doesn't mean you have to be a fucking weirdo on set or like whatever. You
Last
know what I
Tango
mean?
in Paris.
Right, right. Yeah. I don't know the background behind that, but I'll take your word
Oh,
for it. Oh, I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole after we get off this
oh,
call, I'm sure.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Girlies, if you know, you know, okay. But yeah, I'll find out later. I'm sure it's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing where that was a fucking mess to shoot, probably. That was probably a mess to shoot because someone wanted to be a fucking creep. So
Well, there's
anyway.
a scene of sexual assault in the movie that was improvised.
Oh Lord. Oh, see, I'm gonna go down this rabbit
That
hole.
the
Amanda,
actress
you have made
was
me.
not
Not
aware would
yeah.
be happening.
Ooh, ooh, Lord.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole, baby. Don't worry. It's okay.
Yeah, it's I think I have written about this.
Oh gosh.
I have
I
an
haven't
article out there about it.
who directed that? I don't even remember. Wait, what?
Bernardo Bertolucci.
Sound who that is, but okay,
The
cool.
Dreamers.
Oh yeah, 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 that guy, right?
Mhm.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the Eva Green and Michael Pitt and all them,
Michael
right?
Pitt,
Yeah, yeah,
Louis
yeah, yeah.
Garrel, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. When the hell was Last Tango in Paris? Was that like
1977, I want to say.
jeez, that's what I sort of thought. I thought, oh,
Yeah,
it's
it's the
a bit of an
70s. It's
older
Marlon
movie.
Brando.
Yeah. It's like that and like the Richard Gere movie, the American Gigolo movie. I always get those confused in a
Well,
weird way.
they're not. Nope.
No, they're not, but still, it's like, but no, it's like one of those, like, it's very, seems very sexy. It deals with sexy things, quote unquote, I guess,
So
but
Last Tango
eh,
is an affair in an apartment,
right,
mostly set in an apartment
sure.
between a much younger woman and a much older guy, and it's an
Ooh.
erotic drama that
Okay.
kind of gets a little bit not thrillery, just tense.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay,
yeah.
good. It almost like, if it wasn't that guy directing it, if it was Dutch, I feel like someone like Paul Verhoeven probably would have touched it, right? Like, it feels like that may have been a thing. Maybe.
No, no, it's not quite as plot heavy as a Verhoeven movie would be.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. Interesting. All right.
It
Fair
it
enough.
yeah, you could definitely see someone French directing something. It's
Okay.
very,
Yeah.
the intricacies of this affair. It's not really as plotty as a Verhoeven.
Okay. Gotcha. See, that all just like mixes together after a while for me because I'm just an idiot with a microphone. Okay. Listen, I know my place, but yeah, no, it's, see, this is why I have to have people like you on to culture me and to teach me things. Okay. But yeah, no, that sounds like if anything, it sounds like an interesting enough movie, and like you said, it inspired this movie a little bit too, of course. So why wouldn't it? Yeah, I guess also with just the film in general, now that it's out there for consumption and people have been watching it and all that good
Mhm.
stuff, is there anything that you, as the writer of it, producer of it, all these things, is there anything that you wish you could do over or improve upon the movie or anything like that? Or are you pretty happy with the finished product? Or yeah, like do you feel like there's anything you wanted to do over or improve when it came to this film?
I mean, I think the thing is, whenever you write something, whenever you make a movie, there
Hmm.
will always be things
Right,
after the fact that, oh, if I went back, I would add this, I would change that.
right.
But I don't know that it's really worth harping on that so much
Sure.
as it's important to look at the fact that, hey, you did the thing, you made
Yeah.
it. Now use that to help you, make more going forward.
Yeah.
One of the things that's been so cool, and I'm totally blurring into your next question here.
No
Um,
worries.
but Yeah, it's a tiny little indie movie. It's
Yeah,
got two
totally.
actors. We had a small budget.
Right, right.
Um, but I'm very proud of it. I think it looks beautiful. We had
Hmm.
really, really good equipment.
Yeah.
Um, and very talented people working on it who,
Hmm.
because it was so small budget, because we were really, picky about who we hired, I think
Hmm.
everyone really got to make creative decisions and
Right.
to flex their muscles and show off things they could do. And
Hmm.
that's cool. I didn't want to just make some little vanity project for me that only showed me off,
Right,
but I
right.
think it looks great for our cinematographer, for our entire camera team and the lighting,
Hmm.
and we have good sound. I
Right.
will tell everyone, if you're making an indie movie, put money in sound. Put money
Please.
in sound. Um, I, I, you need to be able to. We put money in sound.
Yeah.
It's important.
And
It is
yeah,
really important.
it's knowing how
Um,
to allocate your
mhm,
resources. That's the
it's
thing.
deeply important. But yeah, sure, there are things I would add or
Right.
change. But now I need to focus more on what's next. What are other things I'm
Exactly.
writing? How do I raise budgets for other things? And what's so great about this is that, sure, as small as it is, we did have an entire year on the festival circuit.
Hmm.
It has
Hmm.
gotten us some press and some attention.
Hmm. Hmm.
And through those connections, maybe I can take the next thing and it could go somewhere bigger.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's all you can ever really think of when it comes to movies like this, when you're going and starting out, or
Mhm.
you've been doing it for a minute, but like you're finally being like, you know what? I want to bring this fucking project to life, man. I want to do this, right? And so it's gotta be something that, yeah, that you have and that you can be proud of. And then yeah, sure, there's things you could work on or I've like everybody else with HBO, I've also been watching The Pit recently. And one of the things I noticed was that they've been, or one of the things like when a patient passes away, they're like, what are the things that we did well here? What are the things we could improve upon maybe for next time? And I think that's almost the way you have to look at it in some
Mhm.
way. Like you said, is literally like, hey, look, we did this production, did it in this many days. We had, we were able to do this. And if anything, the debrief afterward of like, you know what, cool. Next project, we'll keep these things in mind. So, here are the issues we maybe had on this set or that we ran into or whatever, right? But
Well, see, that's what's
let's,
so
yeah,
interesting is I definitely hear a lot of horror stories from other indie productions where something
totally,
just went
totally.
wrong and that one. We didn't have that.
Which is good,
That
which
did
is
not.
great.
And that
Thank
is
God.
because our lead producer is more
Good.
established as a producer. He's a television producer.
Right.
He is constantly on set. He's also set grandma.
Yeah, exactly. Where he's the one who's there
He's
to be
taking
like
care of everyone. He
making
wants
sure
to make
everyone's
sure
good.
exactly. Right. And that's
Shout out,
important.
Julian.
It is. That's really important to have.
Yes. It really is.
Yeah.
You need to have someone who really cares, and everyone I think gives a shit, but like you really need them to give a shit because it's the thing of like, it starts from the top. Like
Hmm.
we all
And
know.
I know every every single day after we wrapped set, he would text every crew member and
Mhm.
Stephen, amazing day, thank you so much.
Right, right.
And Stephen and I texted each other every day. We'd be like, that was a great day.
Yeah,
Good morning.
exactly.
Are you ready for tomorrow? And occasionally would do check-ins with us. So everyone was always communicating. And I think that really helped. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm so close to so many people who I
Yeah.
met through this movie. So many of them were at my wedding, you know?
Yeah. That's so cool. I love that. And that's what it's supposed to be, right? Is like when
Hmm.
you're doing this thing, whether you're doing it in wherever you're doing it, when you're making movies, you're in this community, that's what you're trying to do is make these relationships that so hopefully some of them will last. Not all of them will, but some of them will. And you'll be able to have some good people around you and you'll have some good hopefully friends in some way. And yeah, that's why people do art. That's why people do that stuff, That's why you need to have an outlet for stuff because with the world today, you need a fucking outlet for shit. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's definitely important. You already kind of talked about like what you're proud of, and I think we kind of made that clear, if
Yeah.
anything. It's just nice that you were even able to make the movie in general, right? Like it's so
hmm
awesome and
It
that it's
happened.
out
People
there.
said
It's out there.
yes.
Yes, like
People
people
said
actually
yes to
did it.
doing it. We did
Right,
it.
right. And it wasn't like a thing of like, because I feel like any actor or person in the industry always has a little bit of imposter syndrome. Correct me if I'm
Oh
wrong, but
my
like,
God, yes.
but it's the thing of like, oh my God, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out. They're gonna pull
Uh-huh.
the plug on this whole thing.
Oh
And
yeah.
oh my God. And the fact that it even happened, you were just like, okay, it
hmm
didn't happen. Okay, great.
Oh,
Like
my
nobody
fear
it
was
was, yeah.
my fear all throughout rehearsals, all throughout even to the beginning of filming, was
Yeah.
that at some point Lauren and or Steven would say to me, "Hey, I love the script. I want to make this. You suck as an actor. We need to replace you."
Sorry, right, exactly.
That's what I feared.
Sorry, you're too this to be yourself. It's the
Uh,
it's the Margaret Cho of it all, where when she had her television show, yeah, she had her television show back in the 90s, and it was pretty much like the idea was that she was too fat to play herself. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Like you're making a show
yep.
around her. And then she like lost 30 pounds in 2 weeks and her kidneys failed. So it's like a thing of like you probably because actors are sensitive, okay?
hmm
Listen, I went to theater school. And
Yeah.
so, it's a thing of like yeah, I can only imagine that when you're also doing this, you're just like, oh Lord, like, are people going to find out that, like, oh my God,
Yeah. That I
like, you
have
know
no
what I
idea what I'm
mean?
doing.
That I have
Yeah.
no idea what I'm doing. I'm that
I
dog
am
meme, like,
winging it.
literally.
Oh yeah, the one with the
Right.
fire. It's fine. Everything's fine.
It's that one, and also the one that is at the computer too. That one too. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
Or DW outside of the fucking
Yes.
thing, being like, I
I
can't
can't read
read.
this.
I can't do that. Like, whatever. It's fine. Whatever.
Well, I'm not going to pay attention because I don't know what this says.
Exactly, exactly. But no, but I'm glad at least that you were able to have a positive enough experience on this movie and be able to make something cool and make something that people can hopefully enjoy. What do you hope, I guess, that people or viewers that will take this movie in, what do you want them to get out of it? Like, what do you want them to take away from it?
Um, I don't I think when you make a movie, the first person you're making it for is yourself. You are making the thing that you want to watch. And you just have to trust that there are people out there who want to see what you also want to see.
I think that's a nice simple answer, really. Just being like putting it out there and see what happens from
Yeah.
it, and there you go. Yeah. Do you have any other particular closing thoughts about your film or what the process has been, or yeah, anything else that you have to say? That's pretty much my questions I had, but
No,
anything else?
I'm so glad we made it. It was
Yeah.
one of the best set experiences. I think it was also one of those movies that writing that script, being on that set kind of helped me fall back in love with filmmaking again.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that Steven said yes to doing this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He did
Mm-hmm.
not have to.
Right.
I love him dearly. He was so much fun to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I I hope people watch it. I hope
Yeah.
sometime down the line it becomes its own little cult movie. We have
Yeah.
some very dedicated fans, and that's been really cool.
I love that.
What's been really amazing have been the women who have come up to me to talk about how they were in that relationship and
Mm-hmm.
how much it captures. Um, we have a woman on IMDb who I guess just got out of a very toxic relationship and has been
Mm-hmm.
going through movies that deal
Right.
with them just to review them and I think people use it as a way to process that kind of trauma, as a cathartic outlet to watch
Yeah.
things that deal with revenge or deal with these in a way that is safe because you're removed from it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had a lot of people like her reach out and say, I haven't seen a movie that actually deals with what I went through as accurately as this did. And that
Yeah.
wasn't even necessarily something I was thinking about when I wrote it. I was just writing this thing for myself. And then we
Mm-hmm.
obviously put in a lot of work and
Right.
talking to people because we did not want to put something out that was just going to be triggering for no
Sure.
reason. So we audience tested before we hit picture lock to make
Mm-hmm.
sure, especially the assault scene, hey, we put a lot of work into filming this, to
Right.
writing it, to choreographing it, to making sure everything was safe on set. you as a viewer, are you okay? And we got a lot of responses of people saying, like, I have been sexually assaulted like this, watching it through this lens, knowing that she's safe, knowing the remove that's happening
Hmm.
was cathartic to watch it this way and get to process my own grief. And that was kind of an amazing thing to read and also crazy.
Hmm.
So I will say, when you are, handling these subjects, do the work.
Yeah. Totally. If you're going to make those kinds of movies, it's always a
Do the
matter
work.
of doing the work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also cool that in genre fare, whether it be a thriller or a horror or a drama, I guess, even like you are able to, it's cool to be able to process feelings through this sort of medium. And I think
Yeah.
that's what film is, right? It's just, it's, yeah. What was it? I think Roger Ebert said that they're empathy machines, right? Like, I think
Mhm.
that's what he called them. And so, machines of empathy or something where it's literally like, hopefully you care about the people on screen, you care about the situation going on, and hopefully you, if you have had a similar experience or you feel similar to the character, you are also able to use that to process whatever you might need to in your life. So yeah,
Mhm.
I think that brings a wrap to this interview about Perfectly Good Moment. But Amanda, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the movie. Like I said, I have watched it on Tubi, so you can go watch it on there. Where else is it streaming? Do you know where else it might be? I think I saw it on YouTube once. Like, I don't know if
Don't watch it on YouTube
don't watch it on
because I think
YouTube.
it's censored.
Oh, that's lame. Yeah, go watch it on
But
Tubi. I don't think it's censored.
it's not censored on Tubi.
Good.
Watch it on Tubi, Amazon. I think it's on Hoopla if you have that.
Go get
I
your
think
library card, y'all.
but that's not every library. Like, I can't use Hoopla. It's
Well,
not in New
if
York.
if your library uses Hoopla, damn it, go get your library
Yeah.
card and go watch this movie, okay? So
Um,
listen, I'm gonna write a strong word letter to the New York people to say they need to use Hoopla. Damn
Pluto
it.
maybe.
Probably, I would assume if it's on Tubi, it's
Yeah,
probably
it's
on
on
Pluto.
all the things.
Yeah, all the things. I'll try to I'll look around and see if I can put some of the things in the show notes so you can kind of see where it's at
Hmm.
least currently.
Tubi is honestly the best
Probably the
place
best
to do
place
it.
to
Yeah,
go. Even though they are owned by Fox and we got
I
to
know.
side eye it a little bit, it is kind of an iconic service, honestly. They have so many of the weird things that you were
I
watching
know
in the 90s. Ugh.
they do.
Ugh. So
Fox
I'm
is actually, as far as movies go, a really interesting company in terms of queer cinema,
oh
in
totally.
a good way. They are the
They are.
first studio to they made the first um overtly queer romance that's not tragic that came out theatrically in 1982, and then they made the first gay
Hmm.
teen rom-com with Love, Simon.
Oh yes, they
That's
did.
Fox. Yeah.
It is. So I mean, listen, yeah, no, totally. They also gave us The Simpsons. They gave
Hmm.
us a lot of things, man. Like they just,
And then, yep, they're also Fox.
they're also Fox too, but so I gotta give a little bit of side eye to Tubi, but you know what? That ain't Tubi's fault, baby. It really isn't because they do have all those weird
Hmm.
movies that you were watching in the 90s, and you know what? That's a service in itself, damn it. So, yeah. Do you want to plug your socials and what else do you have coming
Yes.
up and all that good stuff?
Yes, you can hear me podcasting. I guest in a
Hmm.
bunch, but I also co-host
Yes.
Don't Be Crazy and Pleasers and Punishers. You can follow
Yes.
me on Blue Sky and Instagram at Amanda Jane Stern. You can find me on Letterboxd at Witchy Wanderer.
Yes, of
So
course.
yeah.
Yes. And then also, of course, you can find me if you want to. Hi, I'm Jesse. I'm the host of this show. I'm at Cult Cinema Circle on Instagram and Blue Sky, and then also Letterboxd at Jesse Kremp, where you can see all the movies I watch and the stupid lists I make and all that kind of fun stuff. Email me at Gmail. My Gmail account is cultcinemacircle@gmail.com if you want to like send me a professional email or something. I don't know. And also remember, this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month when you're hearing this. So I'll put some links in the show notes to, places you maybe want to open your purse and donate money to if you want to. I think one is, I don't remember the acronym, but it's the National Sexual Assault Resource something or other.
Hmm.
It's like
I think we
that.
had them at the end of the movie as well. They're in
Right.
our
That
notes.
Rain is another one, or just a local, I don't know, shelter that helps people who are dealing with domestic violence or any of these kinds of things. Like, please open your purse if you can, donate your time, things like that. Because, as I think I stated in Miss 45, like, this is not an isolated thing that you are only dealing with. There are other people who've also survived this. You're not alone. It's never your fault. All of these things, I always like to make sure of that because, and again, that's why we're covering movies that can make you hopefully feel a little less alone or a little bit more powerful, if you will. So that's, I think, what we're doing. So, but thank you, Amanda. Thank you listeners for listening, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Take care.